show for travelers. A talk show about issues that evolve the world. A show for the concerned locals and other walks of life. Introducing to you the ladies of the afternoon from New York City, Miss Marivir and Miss Grace L. for issues and inspiration at PRN. And here they are.
Hi everyone, good evening and welcome to Issues and Inspiration. This is Marivir from New York City and we'd like to welcome you to our third episode this evening. I hope you are having a good time and are safe after the snowstorm. I'd like to say hi to my very beautiful and good friend Grace. Hello Grace, kamusta?
Hi, Marivir. Good evening, and
After the
good to
snowstorm.
see you
I'd like
again.
to say hi to my
too.
very beautiful
Yes,
and
and
good
good
friend
evening,
Grace.
Grace.
Hello Grace, kamusta?
Hi, Marivir. Good evening, and good to see you again.
Yeah,
So good evening as well to everyone. Good evening on Facebook and YouTube. I'm somewhere, out of state.
and YouTube. So I hope you
Yeah,
will stay
so
tuned.
good
We will
evening
have
as well to
wonderful
everyone
guests this
tuning
evening.
in on Facebook
We
and
will
YouTube.
have two Phil
Yes,
and
we are
teachers
live
tonight
tonight
who will tell us
on
about
Facebook and
their
YouTube.
strategies
So I
on
hope you will
making
stay
the
tuned. We
students
will have wonderful guests this evening.
interested. We will
Mhm.
have two
Pandemic.
Phil and teachers
Yes, that's
kasi
right.
online schooling sila. And then later on, we will have a wonderful guest, a colleague of ours of the press club. And she is going to talk about Miss Universe, the Philippines, the beautiful world of Miss Universe, and the
Yeah.
challenges too.
A lot of our fans are looking forward to our topic for tonight.
Right.
But before that, can you believe it's already Christmas?
I know. That's why we have our hat.
That's why we have our hats.
Yes. It's
Next week
warm.
is Christmas already, and I heard from my husband. He said that we will have a white Christmas, so it's going to be snowing.
It's going to be a cold winter,
Yes.
a really cold season, right?
Exactly.
So I wish everybody safety and practicing, the protocol for health because we are still in the midst of this pandemic. So everybody must be responsible, right?
Correct.
Mhm.
Okay, so like you said, tonight we will have great guests. For our first segment, we will have two film educators who
Right.
will tell us about their teaching strategies and how they are coping with the pandemic.
Correct. So are you
Okay.
going to introduce? I see Ron. Hi, Ron.
Mano extend. Okay, all right.
You want to introduce already our guests?
Yes, let me introduce our first educator, our first film educator, Mr. Ramil or Teacher Ramil Buenaventura. Okay. Teacher Ramil was born and raised in Mandaluyong City, Philippines. He attended elementary and high school in Don Bosco, Mandaluyong, and graduated with a degree of BS Education in Jose Rizal University and took up his master's education in education, major in educational technology in UP Diliman. Teacher Ramil was a math teacher in LaSalle Green Hills for 13 years and 16 years in New York City Department of Education as middle school coordinator, math coach, and math teacher in the Renaissance Charter School in New York City. Ramil was a teacher awardee from various prestigious institutions in the USA, including New York City Department of Education Big Apple Awards, New York Daily News Hometown Hero, and TOFA. He is currently the PRO of the Association of Film Teachers of America, or AFCA. He is also an education YouTuber with channel name Rampage Math. So friends, let's welcome Teacher Ramil Buenaventura.
Hello.
Hi, Teacher Emil. Good
Hi,
evening.
hello po.
Welcome.
All right.
Welcome
So,
to the show. And
Okay.
we have
Marivir?
another guest. Yeah.
Yes, the picture, okay.
Our next guest.
Our next guest is Teacher Ronnie Lumawag Matakiel. He's a high school math teacher at John Bowne High School in Flushing, New York. Teacher Ronnie is a 2017 UFT Excellence in Education and 2018 Blackboard Award honoree. He is also an adjunct lecturer at Brooklyn College and Queensboro Community College. Prior to his stint in New York City, Ronnie was the youngest master teacher in Makati, Philippines, and a recipient of the Mathematics Teachers Association of the Philippines Scholarship Grant, or MTAP. He is the past president of the United Federation of Film Educators and now serves as the co-founder and advisor. Unified is the youngest and the largest Filipino-American educators organization in the United States and Philippines. Let's welcome Teacher Ronnie Lumawag Matakiel.
Hello,
Hi.
Ronnie.
Hi, good
Yes,
evening.
Good
thank
evening.
you.
Good evening,
Magandang
sir.
gabi po sa lahat.
Magandang gabi. Maraming salamat for joining us tonight. It's an
Thank
honor
you.
to have you both here.
Yes,
Yeah.
two of our best film educators
Yes,
in the
mga kilabot
community.
ito sila, Grace, kasi they teach math.
Yeah,
And, you
and
know,
math
I-
teacher pa ha?
Math
So,
pa.
okay, good.
So I'm scared of math. Kasi
Me
I'm
too.
poor in math.
Sorry, but one of my hated subjects back in the day.
Right. So, but really, I'd like to ask you, both of you, Ramil and Ronnie, tell us about your teaching strategies. Paano nyo na-hold yung attention ng mga bata to listen to you for maybe 45 minutes or an hour, and they won't get distracted through your strategies. How do you do that? Who will go first? Si Ramil.
okay. So, unang-una, hi, Marivir and Grace. Thank you for...
Maribel, you are mute.
I'm
You
mute.
are mute.
All right.
All right. So, yan. Narinig na ako. Unang-una, thank you very much, Marivir and Grace. Congratulations for your program. Talagang, it's an inspiration. Nanood ako dati. Nangungulit pa nga ako. Ngayon, in-invite nyo tuloy ako.
Oo.
And hello, Ronnie. Ronnie, ang aking co-teacher yan. Kasabayan ko yan nung na-hire kami from the Philippines back in 2003. And Ronnie knows that nung bago kami dito, it was really hell. Talagang sinubok kami, talagang mahirap. Kung ano man, even though you're teaching for decades back in the Philippines, pagdating mo dito, you're back to zero, even back to negative. And right now, siguro after 17 years na kami dito, nag-i-improve naman, nag-i-improve na, kayang-kaya na namin, nasusustain na namin yung klase, nakakapagturo na kami. And, you know, you were asking ano yung mga strategies. I guess for me, number one is to build relationships with the students. Dahil iba-iba ang culture dito, you need to know them, you need to know their backgrounds, you know, how to communicate with them. Inayos ko rin mga yung addiction natin, yung mga matitigas na pag-i-Ingles dahil dati hindi ako naiintindihan, yeah. And then palaro ng konti, 'di ba? You make it pinasasaya natin yung klase natin. Marami akong games, marami akong mga breaks, maraming pakulo, may video, sinasayawan ko na, kinakantahan ko na para lang makuha ang atensyon nila. So it's easier now, thank God.
This is because of the pandemic. You had to do this online.
Oh, back then, before the pandemic. Pandemic is another story. Back to zero ka na naman. Aalamin mo na naman different strategies, how to engage the students. Baliktad naman ngayon. Sobrang quiet kasi nakamute silang lahat, ayaw magsalita. Ngayon naman, baliktad, pasasalitain mo, pa-actionin mo, magpakita lang ng video, it's a struggle.
It's tough. Let's hear from Ronnie. Ron, ano naman ang experience mo to make the students not mute themselves these days na nasa online kayo?
Yeah, before I'm gonna proceed, actually, I will agree with Ramil. When I first came here, actually, came here in New York City, 2003. I started in California, and to be honest, I actually resigned after 2 months of teaching because I don't have any idea what teaching will like in the United States.
Yeah.
Hindi ka kasi sa bundok at nasalta ka sa Maynila and now in New York City when researching kung ano talaga yung working in the United States. I thought it's gonna be like easy. You have the material, you have the computer. You just have to come and then teach in the class. When teaching in the Philippines, we are like content driven. So, and they're all coming from the same background. Lahat mga estudyante natin, mga Filipino. And if you're teaching in the United States, they're coming from different background, very diverse yung population inside the classroom. So, as a teacher, you're not only teaching them the content, but you really have to do something. You have to think outside the box in order for to present your lesson very interesting to the students. You give them games, you give them hands-on practice or anything that would interest them to really do work in the classroom. But going into remote, it looks like it's different. So like after a while, since March, I was really like thinking, how are you going to do that? And eventually, like I came up like really looking into like what's going on in not only like doing remote teaching, also have to look at like how are the students really prepared to do online classes. So that's the first thing that you have to ask yourself when you prepare your lesson and when you instruction based on the need of the student really. Of course, you also have to consider their psychological things. Okay ba sila? Maayos ba yung pakiramdam nila? Wala ba silang sakit? Of course, like yung social emotion nila. Are they really engaged with their classmates? Kasi mahirap nga magturo dahil sa New York, we don't allow our students, we don't force them to turn on their mic. Camera also, like you can mute them. But I actually feel like that I'm really a teacher teaching remotely kasi sabi nga ni Romel, it's easy for you to just mute them or sometimes if they misbehave, like you can just like kick them out from your Zoom meeting. But of course, like as a teacher, we don't want to do that. So it's kind of like this is the time really that I'm kind of like you become effective as a teacher. You don't have to deal with like any issues like inside the classroom.
Question.
Okay.
When this pandemic started, and then we all had to go and realize that we have to know how to manage the Zoom or Streamyard. Did you also have to like learn this, or meron na kayong background information on how to go about the Zoom classes? And or were you just half step higher than the students, or 10 steps higher than the students? Ano bang sitwasyon?
Marivir, when we started, so siguro we had like 2 days lang. We had a professional development. Wala akong alam sa Zoom. I never tried that before. So, crash course kaming mga teachers. Then the week after, Monday, magturo na kayo. So, it was really...
It was a last-minute preparation
Yes,
for all of you.
yes. The whole New York City public school was not prepared. And lahat ng technology, sige, inoffer lahat ng technology. They're very generous naman sa resources. Any apps you need, they'll give it to you, pero overload naman. You don't know what to use. So, ang style niyan, teachers will be experimenting on different apps, different ways to use technology. Trial and error na lang until you discover something na yung mga Google Classroom, lahat yan, until ma-discover mo na kung saan ka sanay, then you just develop it.
So,
How about the parents? Yeah, how about the parents? How did they adjust to the new module?
Yeah.
Ronnie, wanna answer that?
I think like like for us actually like for us teachers, I'm kind of like we are at least we're kind of like it's easy for us to adjust, most especially if you're already doing this as here in the community. I heard about Zoom. I heard about Google Meet. We have Teams. Like in the past, I actually attended the workshop about this, like I think 2 years ago, like before the pandemic. But never that I like came to my mind that one day I'm gonna be using it. So like having like for like doing trainings like for I think 2 or 3 days, little by little na naka-adjust kami. But I think it's difficult to our parents, most especially if you are working here in like in the city, New York City. I think most of our parents here are they are working parents. I don't think they are really like into like probably some of them might be into technology, but halos lahat ng mga ng mga parents natin, ng mga estudyante natin na most especially in public school, I don't think like their job is really into this like new teaching like technology. Like I don't know if they're aware that there's Zoom, there's like Google Meet and everything like that. At the same time, of course, kind of like most of our parents, they depend their education really like of their children to schools teachers. So after the pandemic, like when the lockdown happened and students will forced to stay at home with their parents, I think it's kind of like difficult for parents really to adjust. Like I'm also a parent. I have a 5-year-old daughter with me, and like if you are working, like I'm teaching online, and I have a daughter that needs my help. It's kind of like it's pain to think that you're a teacher, but you can help your own children
Yes.
at home. So I think that's the same thing with the parents also, with the student parents at home. Mahirap. Wala talagang time na tumulong sa kanila. So,
That's hard. I thought that being inside the house, na kayong lahat inside the house, is like making you accessible as a parent and a teacher at the same time. Pero is that not the case? Mahirap din na you have your own school-age children na with you as teachers.
Yeah, it's a struggle. Imagine yung mga New York City parents, they have one or two or three children. Kahit na nasa states tayo, some of them would have internet problems. Yung laptop, they need to borrow from the school, hihintayin nila, and internet connection, yung maingay sa class. Sometimes, pag nag-unmute yung mga bata, you'll hear different noises. May nagtitibi si nana, yung aso kumakahol, may kapatid na umiiyak. Kaya pala, dapat lang talaga i-mute sila. And they have a lot of distractions. We feel for them. Kaya number one rin yung mental health and wellness ng mga bata.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Yes, so Marivir, since we're
Go
talking
ahead.
about the teaching strategies, maybe some parents have questions for our teachers, no? Maybe they want to ask for some tips.
Yeah, they can
and
type
advice.
in. They can
Yes.
type in
Mhm.
their questions
On
on
our
Facebook.
Facebook. Mhm.
And we already have a lot of congratulatory messages here, actually, Grace. Yeah.
Okay. I
From
haven't
John
been looking.
in Manila. He was our guest last time. So sabi niya, my mom, aunts, and grandmothers were educators, and I witnessed all the challenges of teaching. Professor. Kudos to Ram and Ronnie. Mabuhay kayo.
Yeah.
Kami, Josh, is
Time and are safe after the snowstorm. I'd like to say hi to my very
Wow. And Ate Rhea, she's from Nevada, Arizona, I mean. She's saying hi. She also has her own blog, and I guested her one time, and I'm glad that she's making this shout out. And also our colleague, Grace Mirna Gutierrez, who
Okay.
has a magazine.
Hi, Ate Mirna.
Thank you so
Tuning in.
much.
Thank you.
Right, right. So if you have questions, you can write it, and we will gladly ask our teachers here.
Yeah, lalo na mga parents, if you have questions.
I'm sure sila maraming mga challenges because of the new system, no?
Mahirap kaya.
Mahirap talaga. Kasi minsan I have friends who says that yung mga anak nila nakakatulog na while having the virtual class, nakakatulog na daw talaga. Kasi sa sobrang haba siguro, or they cannot really interact.
How many hours do you have for one subject? How much is mandated in the city?
actually, we shortened the number of minutes to class. I think we only have 40
Per
minute
class.
classes. Ramila is like I think in middle school, so it's different also. The problem actually is since we shortened the number of minutes per class, actually we really don't have like for in my case in my school, there's no in between like passing. So it's kind of like if you start with your class at 8:20 to 8:40, like 8 to 9 o'clock for 40 minutes, and then 9:01 you're gonna start again with another class. So just imagine these kids like having uh, like in front of the computer for 5 straight periods or six straight periods in a day without actually like break, or like some of them their break time is like at the end of the day, not on their schedule like in high school. Like I would agree that it's really difficult, most especially for small children. If it's hard for young adults like what we have in high school or middle school, how much more like for elementary students.
Right. Ano ang age ng mga bata na tiniteach mo, Ramil and Ronnie? How old are your students?
I teach in the middle school, so nasa early teens yan. Yeah, kaya andyan yung feeling adult na sila, pero bata pa. It's really, all the hormones are there, yeah.
Kumusta naman po ang mga attitudes nila towards you? Have you been disrespected? Ano po ba yung mga challenges ninyo sa kanila regarding their attitudes?
Yeah.
Your students' attitudes?
During that time nung medyo bago pa, na mura na ako ng lahat ng, lahat ng narinig mong mura sa sine, naririnig ko na yun. Tapos nababato ka pag nakatalikod ka, nahuli mo nang binato ka eh. Tapos sabi mo, why did you do that? Sabi niya, I ain't do nothing. Hindi pa siya, i-deny pa nila kahit nakita mo na. So, but eventually, sa awa ng Diyos, talagang matututo ka. The administrators will give you mentors, they will give you coordinators, assistant principals who will give you practical tips. And, teachers magaling, gaya-gaya lang kami. Kung style ni teacher, magaling yon, gagayahin ko yon, Adapt lang tayo.
May role modeling din kayo.
Yes.
On yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Ano naman ang naging experience mo, Ronnie, in terms of students na respectful?
Actually, I think I was just like this when I actually started in New York City, because like I went to John Moen High School. It's the biggest high school also here in New York City. So my first few years, actually 3-4 years, I was really assigned to teach students that they don't have any credits in high school. Because I knew they actually put me, my classroom is actually inside the cafeteria. So like students that actually misbehave, or like students that creates trouble inside the class, they actually don't show up in my class. So that time in 2003, 2004, 2005, I don't think the school really cares about the number of students that you pass in the class. So, and then I don't have any idea also that if like you're new, you don't know the students also. So like I was for me, like I was like thinking that whoever goes to my class, that's my responsibility. So I do phone calls, I contact their parents or like even students, but since it's inside the cafeteria, they blend with other students. So I really don't have any trouble students like to begin with. So it's kind of like that was like a heaven for me for the past 3 years. And
I
then
have a question. Why are you placed in a cafeteria? Why is your classroom in a cafeteria?
when you're new to the school, like I think this is the experience of every teacher. It's kind of like they're gonna really put you to a situation that sometimes it's not comfortable. So it's kind of like the leftovers of of like classrooms or like the students. That's what you have. And also maybe administrators also think that if you can handle the situation, then they're gonna put you there, and then little by little, like you improve.
So it's a test.
It could be a test. Like I appreciate exactly that I started with that, and then when I started teaching like good classes, I'm kind of like I realized that I think I'm gonna really fit into those kind of students. So I requested to like teach it again, because sometimes if you that becomes your expertise, and kind of like you achieve more when those students pass your class and eventually they graduate.
Great.
Yeah.
There is
I have a question. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a reaction from Marjorie Martinez Grace,
Mm-hmm.
and a question too. She says, much respect to you teachers. I'm also an educator and I completely understand the struggles you two go through. Her question is, what educational platforms or activities do your students love to do in your class? Maybe we start with Ramil and then we listen to Ronnie.
Alright, so marami yan, lalo na ngayon for online. Of course, the basic thing is Google Classroom. It organizes it's like a mini school online. So, andun na yung subjects mo. I think you know that. And, maraming apps. I use Go Formative, I use Edgenuity, I use Kahoot, quizzes. Actually, it's overload and ayaw na naming bigyan masyado ng mga apps yung mga bata. But the best thing for me is an independent learning tool na the kids could learn on their own. So, they take the quiz on their own, they take the homework on their own. Kasi at their own pace na we adapt to their needs. Kasi yung iba, yung kaya nila mag-advance, sige mag-advance ka na. Kung nahuli pa sila, we give you accommodation. I'm just there to monitor them na lang. And I'll give you a tip rin, yung style ko is, Marivir mentioned a while ago, I have a YouTube page. I record all my lessons there. And, the kids can just watch it again and again. Yes. Yun ang strategy natin. And alam mo, may ulterior motive ako niyan para pag matanda na ako, pag nasa classroom na ako, nahirapan na ako magturo, oh kids, just watch my video. Ganyan na lang.
That's a very smart way, ha?
Pero nakaka-pressure. I make at least 2 videos every week ng lesson ko. Iba pa yung mga kalokohang video.
Oo nga. Ang tip mo, binibigay mo. I particularly watched this episode of yours na you're giving tips to teachers in the Philippines who would like to try it out here in the US.
Oh, yes.
I think that, that's very educational and useful for them.
For the mga teachers.
Uso yan, marami kasi the demand for Filipino teachers, it's coming soon. Matapos lang siguro tong pandemic na to. And they're giving J1 visas na eventually dadami na naman ang Filipino teachers dito.
Oo. As a matter of fact, may shortage tayo ng teachers ngayon, di ba? So,
In some states,
yeah.
they hire, right? Like Arizona, yung mga New Mexico, ganyan. New York, wala ngayon, di ba, Ronnie? Wala ngayon eh.
is it because of the budget?
I guess, I
Yeah,
guess.
it is. Oh, okay.
So ano naman ang strategy ni Ronnie para
Si Ronnie, mga adults na yung tinuturuan yan eh.
in response, is it
High school.
Actually, there's, as what Ramil mentioned, actually, there's so many like online platforms na pwede natin gamitin to incorporate with our teaching. So I actually started with, I do Jeopardy, Kahoot, like games, and then
Oh wow.
Jamboard, Peer Deck, and then like a little, sometimes like you're learning and you really want to find out ano ba talaga yung gusto mong ipagawa sa mga bata. So I actually just stick with one right now. Like most of the time I do the Peer Deck. I think kids really wanted to work. They work well when you put them into, like we're using Zoom. So like I would put them into breakout rooms. So like group of 5, group of 4. And then they discuss with each other. I give them the link. If they can't finish the task for 45 minutes or 40 minutes or like a short period of time that they were online, I allow them to continue that at home.
Yes.
And like doing their work independently. It's kind of like, it's easy. This time it's like easy also for us to, it's a lot of work to check their outputs, but it's like it saves in there, so you don't have to collect the papers, and then you can like from your do now to the last activity that you have at the end of the day. If you give them the link, you can actually revisit them during your time, or you can show the students' work, the model work to students the following day, just to encourage like tomorrow. That's actually the surprises that I'm giving to like my students. Who's gonna be the next that I'm gonna present in class. They're also looking forward to it, and then I give them extra points. So they're kind of like they send me a message like at the end of the day that like, sir, can you please present my question number 1 or like my answer for number 2, my work for number 3 tomorrow in class. They want to do to their class also. So kind of like that's the surprise that I would give them. I give them like 5 points extra on the next test or 10. So that's another strategy actually that they're gonna be excited to do. And then
So
a
they
lot of them will send me a message. They say like everyone will get an extra credit for doing a great job yesterday, something like
Right.
that.
So
I have a
that's an
question.
incentive. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, so I'm just curious now. You both teach in a public school. How big is your how many students do you teach in your virtual class? Like I'm just wondering if do they fit in one screen?
Yeah, kasya naman. I have each class is about 32 students, and then I have 4 to 5 classes in a day. Kasya naman yung screen. Depende sa screen mo yan eh. Kasya lahat. Minsan 2 screens, gano'n. But sometimes I turn on 2 laptops. Yeah.
Oo. How large is your screen sa bahay?
Yeah.
TV set mo?
Parang sine.
Oo,
I
parang
think
tinihan eh.
that's like the time today.
Right.
Ayan, setup mo sa TV mo.
Makikita mo talaga ang mukha ng mga bata parang life size.
Correct.
Yeah. So Ramil is actually using like 2 screens. So that's it's easier for a lot of like teachers also. They invest in like another monitor to just see your student in class. So yeah, but like we all have like I think in New York City that's the maximum number of students that we have, like 30, 34. Yeah. So we all have like I think 34 students, and I have 6 classes. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like you parang nasanay ka na rin na like you're only seeing those small squares in front of you. And that's one good thing actually with this pandemic also, if you're gonna think it into like the positive perspective, you can really like get all of those just like in just one screen. And if students are really wanted to learn, I think they can.
Amazing. Pero may tanong ako sa inyo. Overtime na tayo, but it's alright. Kasi I want to
Okay.
involve questions. On the physical aspect of this pandemic, kasi nasistrain masyado yung mga mata natin, always looking at the screen. That includes teachers and the students. So, ano ba yung, how do you also make yourself healthy? How do you make your eyes able to handle all this? Yung strain. Kasi nakakasira din ng mata. Maybe after this pandemic, lahat tayo nakasalamin na. So, what are the teachers doing?
Nice question.
Healthy.
Nice question.
Yeah, it's an issue also for children.
So, yung number 1 yung eyes, you mentioned that. Yeah. I don't know, talagang sira na yung mata ko eh. May glasses ako, ngayon naka-contacts ako. Pero lumala siya. I don't know, it's given na yan. Pero number 2, yung back pains. I developed back pains. I have to have therapy treatment pa. Pero nag-improve naman siya. And after a class, I need to walk. I need to go out. Talaga, kahit maglakad ka lang sa kalye, it's very helpful. Exercise, kahit sa TV, mag-Zumba lang ako. Gayahin ko yung mga Zumba sa YouTube. Di ba? Ginagawa natin yan. Kailangan talaga may libangan. Netflix, malaking tulong. Bonding with the family. Or else, maloloko rin si teacher.
Yeah.
My goodness. Yeah.
How about
you,
teacher Ronnie?
I totally agree. Actually, it's funny because like with Unified, with the group, we actually come up with a challenge that's the at least 10K steps a day that we actually spend at the end of the day. So that's like for whoever, it's not only for Unified, but anybody like outside New York City. Naman kami sa Philippines na they join the challenge. I actually despite all the trauma, the challenges that this pandemic brought, actually, I was able to like reinvent myself. Nag-join ako mag-hiking, so like every Saturday and Sunday. So that's one thing that I kind of like I enjoy. You can really go out in the park in the city. So would rather like go outside na walang tao. So like I think I've been to like siguro 7 mountains already.
Galing.
Area over there. So like I think you really have to take care of your health also. Because mahirap, yeah.
That's why very fit ang mga teachers natin, no? They're very active. Aside from teaching, they have their own activities.
I know, and we have
That's
to keep
good.
healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi nakaka-tense ng nerves din naman kasi yan. Everyday you face so many personalities, mga bata pa.
Yeah.
And it's really tough.
I
Oh my
actually,
gosh.
I actually realized na marunong pa pala ako mag-bike after like how many years? Like I think that was like in high school when the last time that I rode a bike,
Imagine.
biking and everything. Yeah.
I think
So that's
tama ka, Ronnie, kasi that's the silver lining sa pandemic. I share this, Grace, dun sa when GMA interviewed me dun sa yung you started that, the pandemic heroes, something like that. That's a silver lining. It happens for us teachers, and you would see online people learning new skills. They develop their talents, hidden talents. They do what they're passionate. Biro mo si Grace and Marivir hosting a show like this. Siguro
Yeah.
talagang something will happen, di ba?
Thank you so much. That's
And
nice
it's
to
really an
hear.
inspiration. Thank you very much.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we need to do para to keep our sanity, right?
Yes.
Including
yes.
this show.
That's the main reason why we were doing this, right, Marivir?
Right. And it's so good to have the teachers talk about the
Yeah.
issues these days.
there's actually a positive things like despite of what's
Mhm.
going on in the in the world.
Yeah. I mean,
like, as what Aramil said, I was never like thought na like what you did, Marivir. I actually presented a paper that's when was that 2 Saturdays ago, like
Okay.
sa Philippines as part of our webinar that hindi ko inisip kasi sa New York City every year yung salary naman namin nag-i-increase naman. It's like we don't have extra as long as you have your master's plus 30. But like sa Pilipinas kasi very competitive. But like that's why I kind of like doon na lang stop yung learning. But like I didn't know that I can one day sit down and do my research and present it to like a
that's
teacher.
good. Finally, it came out.
Yeah.
Amazing. We have reactions here, Grace. from
Okay.
Melissa
I'm sorry,
Alvarez.
I'm not seeing the screen, so yeah, I leave it up to you.
Yeah. Okay, so we have Melissa Alviar, our good
Mhm.
friend Melissa. Stay
Right.
well and safe to both Ramil and Ronnie, and to all teachers.
Thank
And
you.
hope you enjoy the holidays soon. And also, Ria Serrano says she
Mhm.
loves this. Oh, amazing! Thank you
Oh,
very
thank
much.
you so much.
Hi, Ria.
Yeah,
Thank you
those
for
are the friends in the
watching.
community.
Amazing.
Okay, so you have other questions?
Two more. Go ahead. You
Okay,
first. Grace.
I do have. So, Teacher Emil and Teacher Ronnie, so how do you foresee the future of the school system, having discussed all this?
Oh, nice question. So, I could foresee, since we're exposed already with online learning, with electronic learning, self-learning with the students, it's gonna be a blended learning. Kahit normal na yan, technology will already be integrated in the normal pace of learning. Not everything will always come from the teacher na. Students will learn to learn independently, learn on their own. This is a good training for them na eh. Actually, may purpose nga, right? And before I end, yung mga, I'm streaming this live rin sa YouTube. I have my students na, I wanna greet Timathan, I wanna greet Sergio, King Adrian, Sergio, always ang dami niyang message. Sino pa? Elisa, Emily,
Wow.
Karma. My students are hi to all of you guys. Thank you very much.
Hi to them also, and thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, do your homework. I gave you a homework.
Work on it.
But if you're watching here, you're excused from the homework.
Plus 5. Teacher, plus 5 now.
Incentive. Oh my God. And then how about
Yes.
Ronnie?
How about Teacher Ronnie?
Yeah.
How do you foresee?
I think that this is gonna be the trend now. Like, so I don't think remote learning gonna stop from here. Like after this pandemic, it's funny because we are always talking about 21st century education. Like we are into technology, but little did we know na hindi pa pala tayo really ready para sa mga technologies. But I think we learn a lot during the unprecedented times. Marami tayong natutunan sa technology and how to really use it and incorporate in our teaching and learning. So I think sa uni actually, yung mga college algebra, may basic classes that usually students are take at in like their first year, or freshman year and sophomore year. I think the study really going on right now na gawin ng online. And then if our students are ready for the like major subjects, that's the time that they would go to school. So I don't know if it's gonna pursue. Right now, like I'm teaching college algebra sa both uni, like Queensboro and Brooklyn College. We do online classes, and even for the next term, sa mga basic like math class, algebra, trigonometry, we're gonna be doing it online.
That's a
Yeah,
good thing.
that's another thing. Like we're
Looking
always
forward to that.
we always have problems with classroom shortages of classrooms and something like that. So kung magawa na natin itong online, there are really students that are ready to do online class. They can really work well with work independently. Yeah, so maybe we can streamline like who are the students that wanted to do like online learning. They can do that as their option instead of forcing them to go to school.
Yes.
Correct.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
Yes,
I have no
thank
more
you so
questions,
much.
right?
I have no more question,
So
but
far?
before, yes, yeah, everything is good. But before we end this, maybe both of our teachers would like to say something about their respective organizations, and also for Teacher Ramil to talk a little bit more about his YouTube channel.
Yeah, whatever it is, promote yourselves.
Please
Yan.
go ahead.
So,
Yes.
so again, I want to greet my family. Hi, Jane. Hi, Julian. Hi, Raphael. Okay, the nice thing now, I have college students, so the house, wala sila. And then, pag nagtuturo tayo, pero bumabalik pag holidays like this. So, magre-reunion ulit kami. Nawala tuloy ako. And I want to greet my students, all of them in YouTube. They're watching right now. And then of course, after family, after I'm the PRO. It's a Filipino American teacher group. It's been here for about 30 years na, and serve pa rin kami in our own way, whether online, whether through different ways. And I have a Filipino American Society of St. Joan of Arc. I have a parish group. Grace, you remember that? Nanalo tayo ng Caroling. We miss your Caroling, Grace. Nako.
Maybe someday.
Yeah, babalik pa rin tayo. And then I also have the Feast of Bo Sanchez. We have Feast New York, and we are also active in that. And of course, lastly, Rampage Math. I blog about math topics for 7th and 8th grade math topics. I blog about culture, about Phil-Am culture, discarding Filipino, and I also blog about professional development for teachers here and back in the Philippines. And awesome, we thank you very much. Thank you for inviting us here. And sana lumago palalo ang I and I natin.
I and I. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for being with us.
More
tonight.
power, of
Yes.
course.
Thank you so much.
Salamat po.
Thank you. And how about Ronnie? Ano naman ang iyong parting shots po?
Okay, so hindi po magandang gabi sa lahat. In behalf, like right now, actually, Unified, we just launched our Unified sa Kinabukasan scholarship program. We actually have right now, I think 7 education students other than those like elementary and then middle school scholars that we have. Right now, ongoing yung aming webinar sa Pilipinas, which is the theme actually is a process of scientific writing, fundamentals and general rules. And then we actually focus on research writing. And then tomorrow, actually, we have orientation for the Unified Western Visayas. I think that's the biggest so far that's joining Unified in the Philippines. We also have the new chapter actually in the U.S. Virgin Islands. They just had their first activity also last Saturday. And I think like I'm happy that we are growing actually, and we can reach out to a lot of teachers that actually really need help. At the same time, it's sharing of teachers' best practices. I think that's the best with this technology right now. They can actually like you can. It's easy to conduct like workshop trainings or anything that would help like teachers at the same time. Like you're helping them at the same time you gain knowledge from them also. So I just want to say hi to all of them.
Thank you, Ron. I'm
Thank you.
very nice and
Fulfill
good
an
luck with all your
educator.
endeavors, and thank you for helping each other. Mga teachers are providing support to each other. That's really important.
And one last, nagpapabati yung student ko, my student King Adrian. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, Adrian.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Adrian. Ngayon daw.
All right.
Okay. Once again, thank you, and we hope to get you back again here.
We'll stick around to watch the next part, ah.
Yes, please.
Please,
Thank
and we
you.
have a raffle.
Just be here because our next guest is going to be very interesting too. It's going to be about the beautiful world of Miss Universe.
And please
Alright.
ask questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, also, please prepare your
Please
questions.
participate.
We can agree on what question you want to ask for our audience later for our prizes.
Okay.
So,
All right. So please stay with us. Don't leave yet.
don't leave yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how are you there, Grace? Okay ka lang?
Okay lang ako. Maginaw.
Now we're ready to introduce our next guest.
Yes.
You know,
Very.
we have to be ready with our wave kasi it has to be.
Ay, ganun ba?
Alam
Okay, sige. We will ask him to teach us how to do that.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So,
Hold on. Okay,
Alright.
you will introduce him, right?
yes. So for our second segment, I'd
Yeah.
like to introduce to you Felix Manuel, who is a graduate of nursing from the Royal Pontifical University of Santo Tomas in Manila and has worked in the Philippines, England, and New York City as a registered nurse. Considered as one of the Philippines beauty pageant experts, he is a contributing writer for Mr. Ricky Law's fanfare column
Yep.
in the Philippine Star. A member of the
I-mute ko.
Filipino-American Press Club of New York,
Ayan,
he has
nakamute na.
written in several publications
ta?
in the area. He is also the senior
Oh my
correspondent
God!
for OPMB Worldwide, a trusted pageant website. Marivir, let us welcome our colleague in the Film Press Club of New York, Felix Manuel.
Yay! Oh, our wave.
Asan na siya? Hi, Felix! You're on mute. Check your mic. You're on mute.
Parang poki-poki.
Unmute
I'll
yourself.
do it.
Okay, all right.
Hi, Felix.
Hi,
Welcome.
Felix.
Ang lamig.
Thank you for having us.
Hey, congratulations on your new show.
Oh my
Salamat. And thank you
I'm so proud of both of you.
Oh, thank you. We are proud of you too, and happy that you're
The
here.
feeling is mutual.
Mutual.
Awesome. Kami na lahat. Kasi
Mutual
Oo nga
admiration.
Oh, mutual admiration. Oo nga. We are wearing our Christmas hats.
yeah, I know.
Where is yours? Where is yours?
I don't
And
have my
I got
hat
mine
here,
from-
but I have my Miss Universe crown.
Iwan mo na yung crown mo.
So you guys
Oo,
don't have
yan.
one. I have one
Oh
for
my
you.
Alternate mo na lang. So, yung una muna, maybe Miss Universe World or
Both of them are
up
Miss
to you.
Universe.
my goodness.
Lalo na them. Malamig. Diyos.
Okay, so, all right. Let's start with.
Everybody watching.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So, shall I ask him the first question?
sure, go ahead.
Okay. So, Felix, you are known as a beauty expert
Mm.
in the Philippines as well as here in the community. So, how did your passion start?
Actually, beauty was very heavy word. This was given to me by Mr. Ricky Lo, but I consider myself a beauty pageant aficionado. I really love the pageant. I love looking at these people, beautiful people. So it actually started when I was young, when I saw my mom's pics and her sister's pics, mga naka-corona kasi. So, I was like, ano to? Ba't may corona? Parang ang saya-saya.
Do you
So,
remember how old were you then?
Kasama
I
nila sa
think
press,
I was 3 or 4.
press club.
Oh my.
So,
Wow,
and
that
then
early, huh?
and then like my mom was like watching Miss Universe on TV. So, I was like, what's that? What's happening? So you got interested in it and eventually tried to follow it. So when I was in elementary, na-calculate mo na usually ang binibining Pilipinas was May and then Miss Universe was July. So pag may newspaper drive kami sa Lourdes School, Quezon City, I was like looking at the newspapers, browsing kung may mga pictures. So, doon ako nag-start mag-collect. I mean, pagupit-kupit na mga pictures from newspapers. And then, when I was in high school, I was
Doon nagturo si,
napakalaki ng library namin.
doon nagturo
I
si
mean, we
Karimar.
had all the newspapers from the past. Nakatago lang. Pati yata na Liga Filipina nandun, ano? But so, I started researching for like the pictures of the winners. And eventually, I completed my list. Tapos yung mga friends ko, ganun din. Parang we're all interested in the same thing. And then it happened like, eventually you found out that it's a big community out there na lahat kayo alipin ng pageants kung tawagin.
Alipin pero enjoy naman.
Yeah, masaya. I mean, you got, you became friends with organizers, with designers. I mean, everybody and everyone who's involved in the pageant scene. So, you know, it's a big community. It's fierce community, but, you know, masaya.
But how is the Miss Universe pageant? Is it still going to happen next year? Meron pa ba?
According to Miss Universe, wala pa. I mean, if you call the office here in New York, they won't say anything. Pero ang chismis is around February or March.
Oh, so it's
Because all the delegates are ready na nakapili na halos lahat ng bansa. So, you know, they did Miss USA and Miss Teen USA last November in person in Elvis Presley's mansion. So, you know, Graceland. So, hopefully, it will push to February or March. And hopefully, lahat makapunta.
Usually January.
But there's no venue yet.
No venue yet. Pero there was chismis na Florida daw. So, we'll see.
Oh, Florida.
Marilado.
Okay.
Wow.
So,
Talking of your passion about this, so alam mo yung mga history nito. So, sino ba talaga ang pinakaunang Miss Philippines or
let's
Miss
start
Universe?
from what, 1900s pa? 1900s pa ang Philippine pageantry?
No,
Nag-start?
the first pageant that took place in 1908. So, nauna tayo sa Miss America. Miss America is 1920. So, what happened back there was like, we were under American rule. So, parang to showcase the boom of the Philippine economy and stuff like that, they had a Manila Carnival. So, in the Manila Carnival, they had to choose like a queen. So what happened was like people were like asking yung mga sosyal, yung mga dekampanilya, mga mayayaman lang ang pwedeng sumali. And it's not like a pageant na may swimsuit, you know, it's all about your education, your background, and stuff like that. So they were able to recruit a lot of girls, probably mga 10, and they all competed. And it was votation. It was not like judging or you parade. It wasn't like that. People voted for it. Even the Philippine Assembly voted. And so that was the first winner was Leonardo Limhap from the Limhap family. And then of course there's this saying that the role of the first runner-up is very important. So what happened was Leonardo had to like decline the queenship because she had a trip to Japan.
Oh.
So what happened was the second placer, the first runner-up was Pura Villanueva. So Pura Villanueva then became the queen. So first pageant pa lang natin, very controversial na. And so this pre-war tradition of the Manila Carnival continued for like 39 years. So all of them are like prominent women, but like the most prominent is the winner from 1920, Trinidad de Leon. So everybody knows her as she became the Philippine First Lady when Mr. Rojas became president. So
Oh, I didn't know that. I really don't. I didn't know that. So look at her crown naman, Felix. Let me be very detailed here. Yung crown niya is very unique, parang baliktad na triangle. Do you know the details of that? How did that come about?
During the Manila Carnival,
Ah, Bisaya.
a show of
Kasi Marivir, nakita mo na yan, di ba sabi ko sa'yo?
It
prominent
was a status
family.
symbol
Yeah, yung
to be in the Philippines.
kailangan yun talaga lahat ng yaman mo i-flaunt mo. I mean, ganun naman noon. So, so every carnival queen was like, from the rich families.
Right. So